Hi guys, welcome back to the Appalachian Outfeed. I know it's been a minute since we did a video, mainly because, not that I haven't been doing anything video worthy, but that's kind of what it's been. Been busy, just little knick-knack paddywhack stuff, and we'll get you guys an update on some of that stuff in a little bit, but that's not this video. This video is a couple of days ago. We had, actually over the last couple of weeks, we've had multiple windstorms come through here. No snow or anything, just a ton of wind. And so I came up to my neighbor's house, check on his place. He's an out-of-towner. And in the process of coming up his driveway, I'm looking off in the woods toward my place, and I see this great big old tree that blew over and broke off. It's some kind of fir pine, and so I talked to my other neighbor, and I think it's good enough to mill and certainly big enough to be worth messing with. So I'm going to try to clean this thing up and get it to where we can get it on a milling machine and get some pretty good sized boards out of this thing. I'm about 30 yards from my neighbor's driveway. Hopefully the biggest challenge is going to be actually cabling the logs up to the driveway where we can get them loaded on the trailer and get them out of here. But that's work for another day. Right now I got to get this thing cleaned up and bucked to length. We'll take you on a quick little tour of the tree so you can see what we're working with here. So you can see where this thing broke off. I've got barbed wire. I've got to go around here. This thing is right on my fence line. So there's a fence post, and there's the tree. Pretty big tree. You can see, maybe in comparison with the axe, how big this thing is. That thing's you know, where it broke, it's a couple feet wide. So yeah, we ought to be able to get some good boards out of this rig. So before I fired the camera up, I was sitting here trying to figure out how to attack this thing, and that piece right there overhead does not give me the warm fuzzies. That being said, it is the only overhead problem that I'm seeing right now. Way back right there, that tree is just as dead as it can be. Another co-dominant something or other, maybe a fir, and that thing is super dead, but it is actually leaning away from this tree, so I'm not horribly worried about that. Plus there's that big old oak limb up there that if it started to fall, I think that oak limb will catch it. So I'm not too worried about that. And I do have some concerns about this other piece. But what I think I'm going to do, I've got the 500i and I've got my little 170 out here. What I think I'm going to do is start working down this big piece that I'm mainly interested in and start cleaning it up, getting it limbed up. And we are working on a hillside. You can see down in there. But where we're standing, where the tree is kind of flat. So I'm not overly concerned about it rolling on me, although I'm not a big fan of working downhill even a little bit. But I'm even less excited about working underneath that other piece. So I'm going to clean this up, limb it up, probably with the 500i. And I've got if you can tell, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but the stuff where it broke, well, I say it's punky. It is kind of punky and rotten, but it feels actually pretty solid. But I gotta get in there and figure out where the solid wood starts, so I'm not messing around with a bunch of rotten wood. And yeah, so I'm just gonna get in here and kind of work on it as I go, and I may have to pivot and switch over and start working on this little overhead piece, and we might even pull that thing out to mill a couple boards out of it. I don't know. But I definitely want to get that overhead piece down so it doesn't fall on anybody. This is not a place where people really come, but nonetheless it is a hazard. So if we can get that taken care of, that'll be a good thing. But my main interest is getting this long piece on the ground cleaned up and bucked to a 10-foot length, so that all we're dragging out of here is a 10-foot piece. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge dragging it out just real quick. So you can see the truck up the hill, and that's where we got to go. But what I'm thinking about doing is that tree right there, which is on the other side of the road, the driveway, throwing a snatch block on it, and then running cable down here and really backing the truck up a little bit, and just pulling down the driveway and snake the wood up that hill. So that's the big master plan here. Yeah, so I've got the 500i, and like I say, I'm probably gonna use it when I get into this overhead stuff on this other piece. I may switch over to the 170. The 500i is kind of interesting. The other day, so one of the things I did do since we spoke, I finished up the wood pile. I had to. I was doing it in bits and pieces because of the weather. It was getting rainy, and then it would get cold, and it was just kind of a mess. So, but I finally got that pile finished up. But in the process of doing that, running the 500i, finishing up bucking stuff to length, I had a problem with my old chain on there, and I ended up putting a new chain on it. And you know, like most new chains, it cut fine. But ironically, I was watching, who was it? Oh, there's a new YouTube channel. It's Two Lean Timber. He's a buddy of Jacob Rogers at Guilty of Treason. And the spelling on that is Thuline, Timber. This guy's a straight up logger. He's legit. And he was running a 500i, and he was cutting softwood the other day, and you could hear the engine almost over revving when he was cutting, when he was felling, and he was in big wood like this, felling really big trees, and the motor was over revving, and he made a comment that the rakers were too high, and they weren't grabbing enough wood. And I think that's part of the problem I was having with the 500i, with the new chain bucking some stuff the other day, is it wasn't grabbing the wood. It was cutting, but it just really wasn't eating too good. So and in bucking Billy Ray, he's on his 500i exploration right now. He's learning about that saw, and he's made the observation that that 500i, it needs some you need some kind of lowish rakers on that thing to give the chain plenty of bite, so the motor has some resistance, and that's when it comes alive. So to that end, I hit this chain with a file before I came out here, and then I hit the rakers a few times, probably running about 35 thousandths maybe. So we'll see how that works in this wood. Okay, so I'm working up here on the hill by myself. I got so much stuff on me. Where's my radio? Oh, yeah. I'm in radio contact with the wife down at the house. So if something goes bad, I can key her up and we can talk about it. I've also got a Garmin inReach with me. Get in the pocket. Got this Garmin inReach with me, so this thing, supposedly you can mash a button and everybody comes running. It's gonna have to be really bad for me to be mashing on this button. So I'm trying to take some precautions up here by myself out in out in the woods, don't have any cell service. Yeah, trying to do the best I can. So I'm gonna take a minute and throw my safety gear on, my chaps and my hat, and we'll get to cutting. All right, stand by. Okay, we're geared up. I got the saw mostly warmed up. And so yeah, gonna take the 500i, try to limb this thing. It it feels really well anchored to the ground, so I'm happy about that. You'll probably see me shaking on this thing every now and then to make sure, yeah, it ain't gonna come to visit. So this is just gonna be a mess. It really is. Again, my biggest concern is that overhead piece right there. But it's hung pretty well in the crotch of that tree. So I don't think it's gonna come down. I may work my way past this brush here and then see what we're working with, and again, may have to pivot and deal with that thing. That's the only thing that really scares me about this thing, but it's not too bad. All right, I guess that's enough jibber jabber. Oh, in addition to all my communication stuff, also somewhere on my person, yeah, here it is, got me a tourniquet. So yeah, hoping that won't actually come into play today, except for videography purposes. All right, throw my ears in, put my little gloves on, and we'll get to cutting. See how she goes. All right. What a mess. But hopefully we'll get some good wood out of this. All right, so that's pretty interesting. It went pretty well so far. Hope you guys got to see that. And so what I'm seeing now is there's a stump, an old stump right there underneath all this mess. And what has happened is all these limbs off that overhead piece are pinned by the big piece on the ground. I wasn't really sure what was going on until I got in there and got to cutting. So I cut a few of those. No movement on that overhead piece, so that's pretty good. That stump ought to keep it from keep this log from rolling. If it was of a mind to, which I don't think it is. Ugh. So that's working out pretty good. See if we can put you guys in a place. I think that'll work right there. Y'all can see what's up. And maybe somebody can tell me what kind of tree this is. I ought to know, but I don't. It's like little Christmas tree. What do you call those? They're not leaves. Straw, pine straw kind of stuff. Anyway, that's what we got. So whatever this is, that's what we're cutting. All right, try to get this kind of cleaned out. Oh yeah. The other concern about cutting on a tree located where this is, so this thing is right on a fence line. There's always a possibility that someone's driven nails into this thing. That's more of a concern when we get to milling on it, but I also don't want to hit it with my chain either. So got to think about that. But I think I'm past. Well, actually looking at it, yeah. We're cutting so high on this thing. That should not be an issue, but who knows? My luck, somebody built a tree fort in this dude 100 years ago. Speaking of 100 years ago, check out the grain on this thing. That is some old growth. That's cool. When we get the end of this thing bucked off, I'll try to remember and get a shot of the butt of this thing so you can check out the rings on it. I'll tell you, one of my challenges, I've probably said this in another video, one of the challenges I have running this 32-inch bar is getting my chain tension right. I don't like running it, my chain's really tight. I feel like that puts more wear on the bar. But boy, if you run them too loose, A, you can throw a chain, but B, you get all kind of mess, all sawdust and everything all up in them, and then they don't want to run right. So anyway, yep. All right, so we'll try to get you guys down at eye level so y'all can see what's up. All right, here we go. Just mess all over the place. All right. Yep, I think it's time to change over and start working on this overhead piece. I guess you saw that. I was talking about the chain tension a minute ago, and sure enough, it was loose, and it actually jumped out of the bar. I got it fixed, but I got to go back to the truck. The one thing I didn't bring with me was a scrunch. I know. Yeah, that should be thing number one, right behind the saw. Anyway, yeah, man, I will say, cutting this softwood golly. When everything's hitting the way it should, it really makes you look like you know how to sharpen a chain, especially drop those rakers a little bit. So that's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna get reset. We're gonna work this overhead piece from the other side, outside in, because I feel like if it does come down, it's going to come this way because we got limbs trapped on this side. Not really, none on that side. Plus, again, this is a downhill side, gravity and whatnot. So, give me a minute. Let me get this chain tension reset, and we'll reset over on that other side and see how she goes. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I was thinking when I was tightening the chain that thinking about it being a new chain, but really didn't think about how few, not even hours. I don't know, I may have one tank of gas on this chain, and that's probably why it stretched so much. When I was putting it on when I was sharpening it, I did think about, yeah, this thing's gonna heat up and get loose, and sure enough, it didn't take long for that. All right, so I'm kind of tempted to take the 170 and clean some of this up. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I hadn't planned on it. I was going to use the 500 on this. I like the reach of that 32-inch bar, especially working overhead stuff. But because it is a lot of overhead stuff, that 170 may be the ticket right here, that little lightweight rig. Like Jerry Clower says, lightweight McCullough chainsaw. Except it ain't a McCullough. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get that 170 out, trim all this mess down, and 500 may come into play in a little bit. As an aside, I'll tell you, it just blows my mind. Some of these old fence posts. Stand by, the wife's calling me. I'm good. I'm yakking at the camera.
Okay.
Going good. It's going to be a good piece of wood. But yeah, man, check out that fence post. Who knows how long that thing has been there. I'm sure that is locust wood. And just wow. They're all over the countryside up here. Really cool. Doesn't take much to get me excited, apparently. All right, let me see if I can get this little 170 fired up and get the 500 out of the way. Man, this is just a mess in here, I'll tell you what. Oh, no other word for it. Go. Getting my wife sweet, checking on me. She can hear the saw from where she's at. So she heard it go off for a little while, and she's like, what is that knucklehead doing? All right, let me see if I can get 170 going here. Come on, baby. Come on. There we go. Got that steel pop. In case you're wondering why that 170 sounds so tough, I give me a little muffler mod to it. Speaking of which, put the earplugs in, leave that thing. Sucker's loud. Alright. Let's see what I'm doing here. So as I'm getting into this thing, I'm specifically trying not to cut any of the stuff on the bottom that has to do with how this thing's supported. All I want to work on is the stuff that's free floating for right now. Yeah, so let's readjust you guys and get you on in here. I guess I got to say this too. I am certainly not saying this is the way to do this. All I can say is this is how I'm doing it. So maybe do something different than what I'm doing. Alright, so we'll get in here and get the rest of these little floaters on here. Like that dude right there. Ooh, that thing's under tension. For real. MS170, you need to get one. Best $200 you can spend on this saw. Maybe the MS180. And get that nano cut kit that Oregon's putting out now for them. So even some of this free floating stuff, I say free floating, the stuff toward the end is pinned on some other stuff. And so a second ago I cut something that was under tension, actually a few pieces. It was trying to pinch the bar a little bit. I was having flashbacks. If you go back to a video I made a while back, I'm just yakking at you guys, mainly talking about safety. I made a comment that storm cleanup is about the most dangerous thing you can do with a saw, and you know what, anything that you're doing with a saw is pretty dangerous, so kind of add on top of that. And when that limb started pinching the bar, I'm like, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing storm cleanup. So not super ticklish. Got one tree Not super tangled up, but that is in fact what we're doing. So I've cut about as much as I'm going to on this thing as far as down toward the top of the tree, so I can see what I'm working with. I am going to go ahead and cut some stuff that's under tension. Top of it's still pinned down there, and if you look up there, maybe you can see how that thing's in that crotch pretty good, but definitely if it rolls a direction, it is coming this way. It's kind of blocked on the other side by the tree itself. So yeah, so again, just trying to be careful and thoughtful about what we're doing here. Hopefully it won't roll over and smash the GoPro or me. All right, let's see how this goes. Hopefully this won't be too exciting. What I'm thinking here is I'm cutting on there's only about 2 more limbs that are trapped under that big chunk. So if I cut those, and it's got some weird tension on it, it's kind of got to go that way away from me instead of this way, because I still got these other limbs pushing it that way, I think. Who really knows with this stuff? There's one limb under tension down there toward the end. I have to see what's up with that, but we're going to get these right here after I cut that one over there. just got the slightest little bit of movement on that last cut, on that last limb. That tree popped down a little bit. It's still in the crotch pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is get up on the big log on the other side there. Just take care of these hangers off there. Just kind of clean it up some. And I don't know, depending on how froggy I feel, I may either leave it alone and get a cable around that thing and pull it out of there. May get to feeling froggy and cut the top of this thing and cut that loose. We'll see how that goes. But kind of reposition this thing and get you guys set up again. See what else we do. Okay, so we're gonna clip these three. I ain't a big fan of this. Number one, I'm working in basically muck boots. Certainly not corks, like they call them. Let me take these little three limbs off so we got a nice clean piece of wood that we're working with. And I have to make a call from there. Pretty solid. A little bit of warble to it. All right, here we go. I think that's all I'm fooling with on this thing. I don't know if y'all heard that pop just then. Got a pretty good bit of confidence in what's left up there, but ain't nothing else I can do with this thing at this point. So we will abandon that and break out the 500i again and see about cutting the butt off this thing. Yeah, I think we're gonna get some good wood out of this dude. Yeah. Man, just really tight growth rings on this thing. It's something else. Even though I think I know where the good wood starts on this thing, I'm probably just gonna start even in some of the deader stuff and work it back to good wood. I mean, why not? It's a little 500i action for you guys, right? So yeah, we'll do that. And that's gonna work out pretty good because this butt end's actually up in the air over the roots of that stump. So good stuff. All right, give me a second and we'll get reset. So if I'm being honest, I would much rather be cutting this piece of wood from the uphill side, but that would put me directly underneath that overhead piece. So that is not on the menu today. So that's another good reason to take a little bit smaller chunks off this thing. And so if it does get loose going downhill, it ain't some big massive, overly massive piece of wood. Well, that's some pretty big wood for around here. You know, here again, sometimes I get asked, man, what you need such a big bar on that saw for? Well, stuff like this. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So, yay for big bars. All right, let me see what Mr. 500i is gonna do. Get him fired up. There you go. That didn't take long, did it? So in truth, let's see how punky and rotten this stuff is. Yeah, that's where the tree failed, right there on that side. That's good wood. So, probably call it good for now on this thing. I imagine for milling purposes, we're going to end up taking some more off of it to get to good wood, and also get away from this piece that's splintered over here. Let's see, for scale, that's a 14-inch bar. So that's what we're working with there. So by the time we get this thing cut back to good wood, we're probably looking at about, I don't know, maybe 20 inches across the fat part. We'll just have to see. But yeah, so I'm going to hang out here and wait on my neighbor with the milling machine to show up here in a little bit. And we're going to check this thing out. Yeah, y'all hopefully it'll be here in about a half an hour. One thing, if you saw it on the video, so yeah, man, downhill logging, not really downhill logging, but being on the downhill side of your work, These things are so oblong, I didn't think they would really gonna roll, but they dang sure did, and I'm glad I cut little chunks off of them, because they can sure enough take you for a ride. Well, that's all we got for now. Appreciate you guys hanging in with me, and we'll see if we can get this thing milled up. Maybe check out the finished product on this thing. I told you I'd show you the rings on this thing, so let me do that. Get this tripod in a configuration. It's actually some kind of ugly wood right there because it's rotten. Check it out. Yeah, we need to get in some better wood and really see what's going on with this thing. But man, that's some good looking stuff. That's an old tree right there. Good stuff. And just a quick little view of where we're working. So my place is way down there, looking way over the top of my place. And you can see the neighbor's driveway and then the fence right there. So again, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge getting this stuff out of here, but I think we can do it. Luckily, I don't know if you can tell this, but luckily, all that right there, all that brush, that's briars. And I'm talking about mean briars too. So at least we got that going for us. All right, guys. Again, thanks for hanging in there with me. You know, what might be, no, I'm not going to either. I started to say, what we might ought to do is cut this stump to get that piece out of there, but I think that would be a little bit foolhardy. So, we won't be doing that. Okay, until next time, you guys take care, and we'll see you then.